This video is going to be one of the most controversial videos I have ever filmed here on this channel. I'm going to be talking about 5 fragrances I do not think are worth your money, and I personally have not purchased, and why. These are 5 extremely popular fragrances. Everyone talks about them, everyone knows them, and people do recommend them, and I'm here to counterpoint why you should not be spending your money on these fragrances and perhaps offer some alternatives for you to direct your finances to in another more productive way. If this is your first time watching this channel, hello, my name is Anya. I love perfumes and I talk about them here every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, along with a ton of bonus content in between in the form of YouTube shorts and long form content as well. So without further ado, let's get started with a fragrance that's literally in every single fragrance lovers collection, and that is Delina exclusive. I'm grouping those 2 fragrances into one category in this video because these 2 fragrances by Parfums de Marly are practically synonymous. Everyone knows about these perfumes, everyone loves them for different ways, or everyone hates them. I personally love them both, and I especially really adore Delina exclusive. And I'm going to go into the notes, and I'm also going to explain why, even though I love these perfumes, I'm putting them in this video because you might be surprised about my interpretation. So let's kick things off with the very first Delina fragrance, and that is the original Delina. This is a fragrance with top notes of lychee, rhubarb, bergamot, and nutmeg, a mid of Turkish rose, peony, musk, petalia, and vanilla, and then a base of cashmere, incense, cedar, and Haitian vetiver. Delina exclusive has notes of lychee, pear, bergamot, grapefruit, and pink pepper at the top, a mid of Turkish rose, oud, and incense, and then a base of vanilla, amber, woody notes, musk, vetiver, and evernyl. So this is, I kind of like to group these 2 together, but to give you a very quick summary, Delina is the more fruity one, and Delina exclusive has a bit of like a stronger, woodier, oudier base to it. I actually do have a decanted Delina exclusive, so let me just get that out so I can spray it and give you my live interpretation as it is. Yeah, it's really good. So basically, this is Delina exclusive. I have my little decant here. This is a pretty sizable decant, and this fragrance is potent. It will last you a very long time, and it's one of those perfumes that smells very sensual, but it doesn't smell as if you're trying too hard. You definitely get a lot of the lychee, you get a lot of the woody base, a lot of the oud base, and it's a very floral perfume. It's absolutely unique, but because this perfume has been so hyped up, as has Delina, the original one, this perfume has been mimicked more times than I can count. And let me just get my phone again. Full price, these fragrances will run you $400. Okay, that's full price. You can probably get these discounted for, let's just say, 200, 270. That is still a chunk of money. And here's the thing. I love and appreciate Parfums de Marly as an iconic house, right? And if you have the funds to go and get either of these fragrances and not really think about it, then absolutely do so, because these are some really great perfumes. But if you're someone who's in the position where you're saving your money and you're trying to decide what fragrance to buy, I would definitely work on maybe getting a sample or a decant of these fragrances first, before committing to a full-size bottle, because this fragrance has been copied and replicated so many times. One example is one that I have right in front of me, and this is Souvenir Floral Bouquet by Afnan. This is a perfume that I've had for a while, and this pretty much embodies like a very similar scent. It's kind of like a cross between Delina and Delina exclusive. It has like the floral, the fruitiness of Delina, and it also has the woodiness of Delina exclusive. So it's a kind of an in between. It's sharper than both of those fragrances. It's not as fruity. It's a sharp fruit. If that makes any sense. So what I'm trying to get at is both of these fragrances, okay, cost $400 full price. Yes, you can get them discounted, but if you're going to pay full price, it costs $400, and they have also been replicated so many times. So this perfume right here, the Souvenir Floral Bouquet perfume by Afnan, this perfume costs about $30. So therefore, me personally, okay, as an ordinary consumer who loves fragrances, I cannot justify spending my money on Delina or Delina exclusive when I know it has been both of those fragrances have been replicated so many times that scent profile is already in the public's imagination. If I get those perfumes, it's not going to be anything unique or extraordinary. And with my collection, I have a kind of thought about it, and I kind of think that with my fragrances, I want to invest in fragrances that truly smell unique. And to me, this scent profile, while it may have originally been very unique, now it's not, which is why I personally think Delina or Delina exclusive, if you're a consumer like me who wants to get a very unique scent and wants to get something truly special, those fragrances might not be the fragrances to buy right now. And if you manage to get yourself a really good deal, or if you try the fragrance and you love it and you want to go for it, absolutely do that. But for me, it's not worth it right at this time. Okay, if we're talking about another perfume that's super popular, let's get right on into it and talk about Baccarat Rouge 540. This perfume has been embedded so much into the public consciousness that every single person I encounter, well, not every single person, but most people who know a teeny tiny bit about perfumes know about this one. It has literally been worn so many times, replicated so many times, referenced so many times. A lot of perfumes smell like it. This is an iconic fragrance, and it's iconic for a reason. It's by Maison Kurdijan, and it has notes of, let's check this out, saffron and jasmine at the top, a mid of amberwood, ambergris, and hedione in the middle, and then a base of fir, resin, cedar, sugar, ambroxan, and oak moss. What's not listed, I believe, is the note of ethyl maltol, and that's like the fruity muskiness that you get in Baccarat Rouge 540 that's so easily recognizable once you've smelled that fragrance even once. That fragrance has been duplicated so many times. It's come to the point that I personally associate it with kind of like everyone else, at least the scent profile. Okay, but I digress. Let's backtrack. I have smelled, obviously, many times Baccarat Rouge 540 in person, on other people, and here's what's really unique about the original formula that I have not found in copies or other interpretations of the original scent. I can smell Baccarat Rouge 540 from 10 feet away, from 15 feet away. But when I walk up to the person, I can barely smell it. That perfume has a presence like few other scents I have ever encountered. I remember distinctly being at a Trader Joe's, okay, and I was smelling Baccarat Rouge 540. And there was no one next to me, but I could smell it so distinctly, and I was trying to find out who was wearing it, and it smelled so good. It smelled amazing. And then I found the person that I thought I was wearing it, and I was like, "Are you wearing that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I am." And I was like, "You smell really good." And he's like, "Thank you." But it kind of made me think, Baccarat Rouge 540 has been duplicated so many times, like literally so many times. It's kind of boring at this point. But the one thing that's not boring about it is the fact that it's at the same time a beast performer. But if you're literally next to the person, you can barely smell it. It's insane. The sillage on it is truly unique and a masterpiece. And the reason why I say it's not worth getting it, and let's see how much it is. Let's see how much it is full price. Because I kind of go between the extrait and the original one in terms of my personal preferences. But the extrait version is 400. Lucky Scent is selling the 70 milliliter bottle for $335. Okay. So these are perfumes, right? This is another example of a perfume that is very expensive, and that's why I would say if you're trying to get your first fragrance, I kind of at this point would caution against getting this one because there are a lot of niche fragrances out there that cost that much and less that are truly unique and special and not a lot of people know about. I feel if you're trying to invest your money into a perfume, it should be invested into something that's unique and special and not a lot of people know about. Once everyone starts being kind of familiar with the scent profile, I almost want to stay away from it because then whatever money I spend on that perfume becomes less significant. I would much rather spend $200, $300 on a scent that is very unique and captivating that not a lot of people have smelled before, as opposed to something like Parfums de Marly's Delina or Delina Exclusive or Baccarat Rouge 540, where like this is an example. I walk into the elevator on my way to work, and I know someone's been wearing those fragrances, especially Baccarat Rouge 540. I can tell there is someone in my office building who wears that fragrance, and for some reason, because I smell it all the time, I don't want to get it myself. So I've been talking a lot about some really expensive perfumes, and I'm going to talk to you about a perfume that is not as expensive but was really hyped up for a very short period of time, and now not a lot of people are talking about it. And you might disagree with me, you might agree with me. Let me know your thoughts. But one that I would absolutely not recommend is Yara Candy by Lattafa. And you know me, I talk a lot about Lattafa perfumes. I recommend a lot of Lattafa perfumes. I actually have a Lattafa perfume in front of me today that I'll be sharing with you. But this perfume, in my opinion, was a little bit overhyped, and the ultimate consensus in my mind is that this perfume smells kind of like a fruity candy. It smells really good, but it's not worth the hype. So Lattafa had a huge launch party for this in New York. I was considering attending the party. I wasn't invited, but there were going to be some walk-ins available. And I remember going on the website, but I didn't like reserve a time slot. And then literally an hour or two later, it was all sold out. And I was like, okay, there is no way I'm going to New York to stand in a line to wait for a fragrance brand to let me into a building. Absolutely not. No, not happening. Especially since, to be honest, I've talked about Lattafa on here and on multiple platforms for so much. I'm not going to be waiting for them to let me into the building just so I can attend a launch party and eat some candy. Absolutely not. So this is a perfume that I was actually very interested in, and I got my decant of it and I tried it, and I've tried it a few times, and to be honest, this is me giving you my unbiased opinion. That perfume it smells really delicious, right? It's a sour candy, but it doesn't last at all. It doesn't last a very long time. You would think that it would last longer. It doesn't. So if you're interested in something like refreshing and light, it's really good. It smells nice, but it's just not something that I personally am buying because for $50, I'd rather spend my money on another Lattafa fragrance that A, will last longer, and B, smells a little bit, I don't want to say more unique, but something that's a little bit more like underrated because at this point, everyone has been talking about that fragrance and I feel like there's nothing I can add to it. Like there's nothing new I can add to it. People had their hype about it and now people don't talk about it nearly as much, and I'm just not, I wouldn't recommend it as something that you're buying unless you're very much focused on finding that specific scent profile and you don't mind the longevity. Because Lattafa's Yara Candy is not their best fragrance by far, in my personal opinion. Let's talk about another expensive fragrance. This is Xerjoff's Yerba Pura, and this is an iconic fragrance. If you haven't heard of it, you've likely smelled something that is inspired by it, if not like directly inspired by it. So this has top notes of Sicilian orange, Calabrian bergamot, Sicilian lemon, a mid of fruits, and then a base of white musk, Madagascar, vanilla, and amber. This perfume very much popularized the quintessential Xerjoff's fruity musk. Xerjoff is known for having this like very decadent, expensive smelling fruity musk scent profile, and Herba Pura pretty much embodies that. It's a very expensive smelling version of that scent profile. And don't get me wrong, I love Xerjoff. There's so many fragrances from them that are absolutely on my wish list. They have a lot of perfumes. And Herba Pura pretty much blew up, and it's now one of the fragrances that people definitely associate with the house. It's easily one of the most top 5 popular fragrances in the world right now. And the reason why I wouldn't recommend it is because number one, everyone already knows it, has a scent profile, or has like a version of it in their collection, or is familiar with it, right? And number two, Xerjoff has a lot more interesting fragrances in their collection that are not Herba Pura. And personally, if I was going to buy a Xerjoff bottle like tomorrow, I would not buy Herba Pura because Xerjoff is a huge fragrance house and they have so many perfumes. And I would love to own a Xerjoff perfume one day. I'd love to own 10 because they have some truly unique and wonderful scent profiles that I absolutely love and adore. But Herba Pura is not one of those scent profiles. Herba Pura is one that I actually have a few versions of in my collection unintentionally, but there are a lot of fragrances that kind of smell like it, and I don't want to add it to my collection because it's not going to give me anything quite special, and it's also a bit, I'm like not interested in like how fruity that fragrance smells. It's just a little bit too intense for me. And they have a lot more nuanced and unique scent profiles in their line that I very much am drawn to. An example would be their Alexandria 2 fragrance, which is like $400 and smells like absolutely like a masterpiece. That's a lovely perfume. It's, I think, a fragrance with oud in it. Their Tony Iommi fragrances, their original one and the new one, those are great plays on leather. La Capitale is one that I'm curious about. Um, their like pink anniversary one with like the gold flecks inside it. I was very curious about that one too. But you can tell that my personal preferences don't necessarily lean towards fruity when it comes to Xerjoff specifically. Oh my gosh, their Casamorati line, their recent perfume, the gray one, that one, oh my gosh, it's on my wish list. I love that perfume. But yeah, you can tell there's so many options from Xerjoff that don't include something that everyone else is already familiar with. So that's why I personally would not recommend Herba Pura. I'd recommend going to the Xerjoff counter or at least ordering some samples online and just experimenting with different fragrances in the house because they truly have a whole range of amazing scents that don't include a scent everyone has already smelled before and already tried their own interpretations of. So I would definitely recommend going to Xerjoff and sampling something other than Herba Pura or even La Capitale. Because La Capitale is iconic for a reason, but there are so many other fragrances that are amazing that people don't even talk about that much. So I definitely recommend trying some more from the house. So next up, I have a designer that everyone knows about and everyone loves, and this is La Vie Belle by Lancome. This is a vanilla and sweet perfume with top notes of black currant and pear, a mid of iris, jasmine, and orange blossom, and then a base of praline, vanilla, patchouli, and tonka bean. My main issue with this scent is the fact that it literally is too sweet. It smells like a toothache waiting to happen. It is so incredibly sweet and overwhelming and overpowering. And it's also a scent profile that a lot of other brands have replicated and it's a little bit too familiar for me. I remember when I was working in retail, I actually sold fragrances for about a year, I think. People would go for La Vie Belle, and I would kind of, I wouldn't steer them towards something else. If they genuinely wanted La Vie Belle, I would absolutely show it to them and smell and have them smell it. But I'd also want to introduce them to other fragrances because the thing about La Vie est Belle is it's so into the public consciousness now that whenever someone thinks of perfume, they think of La Vie est Belle, at least for women. And the fact is, there are a lot of other perfumes that are equally as wonderful, if not more, that people don't talk about. And at this point, everyone knows about La Vie est Belle. So if you're starting out with fragrances, I would highly encourage you to kind of think outside of the box and get something that's a little bit different, okay? And if you're interested in a Middle Eastern option, I would definitely recommend Razazi's Hawas Parfum. I don't have it with me right here, it's actually over there, but I will link it down below. It's a perfume that still has a similar scent profile to La Vie est Belle, but it's way more focused on the citrus and it's less sweet. So if you like La Vie est Belle, but you want something a little bit more unique, still with that praline and patchouli, but something that's not as sweet, Razazi Hawas Parfum is amazing. It's a citrusy perfume that I personally really love. So yeah, that's my opinion on that. Let me know, are there any other fragrances that you think are too overhyped, or do you disagree with me on these perfumes? I would love to do another video similar to this. I feel like this is like a fun subject to talk about because I personally am very passionate about spending your money intentionally, especially when it comes to a luxury good like perfume. I don't want you to be spending hundreds of dollars on something that's not providing value or it's not worth it. And obviously, if you smell one of these fragrances and you absolutely love them, you should definitely feel empowered to make your own decisions and purchases as necessary. But me personally, I have not purchased these fragrances for the reasons I've already mentioned. I just don't think they're worth it for me. And let me know if you agree or disagree. If you're interested in seeing more from my channel, definitely consider subscribing. I tend to be very analytical when it comes to perfumes in general, so that's something that we focus on this channel a lot. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you found this video interesting, and I'll see you next time. Bye.